Jerry, my man. Sales pitch for you, buddy. Picture this. Me, you, summer 2020, Star Wars Battlefront II, taking names. No. Not Battlefield 2, Battlefront 2. You remember that Star Wars game EA made in 2017 and everyone just hated forever because they were a bunch of greedy buttholes? I heard it got better, so what do you say? You want to jump back on the train with me, buddy? Jerry? Jerry? Jerry!
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
You have failed me for the last time.
As a big fan of the original Battlefront titles, I was heartbroken when EA released Star Wars Battlefront II to the public in November of 2017. With my Return of the Jedi lunchbox and my Power of the Force action figures, I grew up with all the Star Wars movies and games, through the good times and the bad, and I always take the handling of the property personally. And when my beloved franchise gets the corporate death grip treatment, which has happened multiple times in the game and film industry, I get pretty depressed. Battlefront 2 was indeed one of those times, and sadly gamers opened their mouths wide for it, drooling at the shiny pre-release trailers. And well, EA leaned over and took a big, fat diarrhea dump into each one of those mouths. A micro-gambling, loot box, power-tripping, greedy, stinky, corn-filled caca. Yeah, that kind of caca. The ironic part about Battlefront 2's demise is that there was indeed a fairly good game residing underneath the dirt. Battlefront 2 was a perfectly serviceable Toyota Camry, with great gas mileage and plenty of backseat space for the kiddos. Some emo kid that was having a bad day just decided to walk up to it, key it, smash in the windshield, and steel tube its tires before it left the dealer. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was that broken down Camry that could, and its fall was mainly attributed to three things: a carnivorous progression system, a total lack in content. This was in addition to, of course, a horrible single-player campaign, and of course the loot box micro-gambling bonanza that tipped the scales of power towards the rich. Since it takes so long to get credits and you're not really incentivized to do well, then I guess you could just buy them and then buy your loot boxes directly with your real money. This is a system that you would find in a free-to-play game. So is Star Wars Battlefront pay to win? Yes, it is. Personally, I never made it past the first few weeks, despite the game looking and playing quite nice. I guess I just felt cheapened that the game was holding all the fun stuff hostage behind the prison of a smelly gambling RNG simulator. You know, the things that gamers actually look forward to in a shooting game. You know, like new weapons, new heroes, new attachments, new star cards. That's how we pimp out our gaming experience, make it personal. Progression isn't just a requirement, it's a core system to any shooting game. It makes players want to keep pushing on, since the reality is most multiplayer games become kind of routine after a while. So you have to have a carrot for players to chase, and it needs to be fair and exciting. If it's locked behind money, you lose out on the sense of fun and accomplishment that an FPS needs, especially when it's instituted inside a game that already charges full price. Fast forward 2.5 years. Most of this nonsense has been actually washed away like a bad dream. Actually, to be honest, I feel fairly strange going back to it, because I'm enjoying myself despite once despising it. I know, it's weird to hate something and then praise it, but I'm happy to say that Battlefront 2 actually is a story of redemption, and it feels like a complete video game now. With a new play-to-gain progression system, brand new modes, new heroes, and movie tie-in content, and a ton of small tweaks to the gameplay flow. This includes updated lightsaber combat mechanics, a squad system, new planets, and a variety of quality of life features for the game's menu. In addition, all weapons, attachments, and cards are now attained through leveling up, and the loot crate system has been downgraded to cosmetic only. This is obviously how it should have been on day one. So that once gut-turning feeling of going nowhere quick in Battlefront 2, it's been replaced by a slow, steady, goody train and zero pay-to-win mechanics. I'm not going to sit here and praise Battlefront 2 as being the most amazing game I've ever played, but it does make a huge difference in day-to-day play, as most people coming back to the game will need to go through these progression routes for the base classes and all hero units. I do find it odd though that there hasn't been any new guns thrown into the mix, despite the avalanche of patches. Currently there's only 4 guns per class, for a total of 16. You can unlock 3 mods per weapon, but the deeper progression systems that we see in other shooters like customizing the stock, the barrel, the scopes, and the style of the weapons would have been very welcome. Maybe it wouldn't have been possible in this universe with the current license they had, but that shouldn't stop them from at least trying to get more creative than handing you 16 black guns that all kind of look the same, and then call it a day. Given the emphasis on changing roles mid-match though, it does present less of a problem than your standard FPS game, as you'll be constantly using different weapons and abilities of your favorite classes, which definitely helps the game meet players halfway in the regard of actually providing gameplay variety. The new maps are also quite welcome, and they look, of course, just painstakingly beautiful. It really draws you into these universes, seeing these planets rendered in such pleasing detail. However, not all of them create good game flow while playing. A lot of the maps have problems with balance, as certain positions and control points clearly favor either attacking or defending, which results in all manners of mosh pit style gameplay, sniper paradises, and grenade spam fiestas, which does lower the skill ceiling quite a bit, especially during the supremacy mode when players seem to be funneled into tight choke points. And as you'd expect, what results is just a race to see who can stay alive long enough to farm enough points to buy a hero unit first. To be fair though, the map design was never going to be a great selling point in terms of symmetry though, as this is not a competitive shooter, not by a mile. Battlefront 2 is an arcade shooter, and the goal is, I think, to provide spectacle and excitement rather than tight balance and absolute harmony in map design. After all, this is an asymmetrical game anyway, and some players will always have more power than others based on their personal performance, which does support the theory of Battlefront 2 being made as a simply popcorn fun FPS. Oddly enough though, through all the updates, the arcade-style shooting hasn't really changed much, and I'm having fun with it, so I think it's safe to say it was always fairly good. It's snappy and fun. There's no doubt about it, but it's a different kind of game than a bullet shooter. Subtle mechanics are quite different, though equally enjoyable, like having to lead targets slightly because the slower travel time of blaster fire, or being able to swap character sides to take advantage of angles and cover. General movement and rolling is fluid, and with the new saber tweaks, hero combat feels a lot less janky. Not everyone's going to enjoy it, but I think overall Battlefront 2 is a blast with its new play to get progression system, no pun intended. Obviously the problem of Battlefront 2 today is that it's a well-established game by now, and most of the vets know exactly how to crap all over the noobs. You will always see a handful of nerds at the tippity top of the scorecard with like 50 to 100 kills, destroying the rest of us with Darth Vader or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, God forbid you're a new player and you come around the corner and there's Palpatine staring at you, licking his lips. Honestly, there's no getting around the disparity of skill levels, and it sucks for new players, so I'd recommend staying with your team to stay alive. However, it does seem like there's some minor tweaks that have been made to the point system underneath the hood to speed up the acquisition of hero units for everyone, which is pretty nice. I mean, I can't be sure, but I recall a time where the chances of getting a hero unit back in 2017 was basically akin to getting struck by lightning. So, it seems like if you're a competent person, you're gonna get enough points if you're playing the objective to get several hero units each game. And I like that because it puts more choice into the hand of the player, not the actual system. However, a setback of this is that playing the 4 base classes can sometimes feel like a handicap deep into a match when just about everyone is running around as a Jedi, a Death Trooper, or a vehicle. While it certainly makes the battlefield more interesting and institutes great player freedom and also increases the longevity of the game, in a sense of progression, it does push out the baseline power levels of any given player throughout the match, meaning if you're looking for a fair fight in Battlefront 2, you're pretty much up shit creek. But hey, that was always a problem with Battlefront 2, and if you're willing to accept that fact that the game is just asymmetrical, then Battlefront 2 can actually be a jolly good time in 2020, as a simple, fun, not terribly balanced or to be taken too seriously, arcade Star Wars shooter.
Jack him, dude. Come on.
There's two of them, dude.
Going to battle, dude. Got him!
Nice, choke.
Freaking
Yeah,
jack
one more,
him,
one
dude.
more player, dude. We still got one more.
I can imagine Battlefront 2's biggest regrets is watching a reformed fanbase lament that it took so long for the proper changes to be set in motion to make this a great game, because no more content is ever going to come to Battlefront 2. It's over. It would have been nice to see more instituted changes, like a more fleshed out star card system that didn't have so many overlapping abilities, an expansive campaign that didn't suck, more weapons, more customization, but we all know that was impossible since DICE had to spend an eternity putting out the initial launch fires. Today, Battlefront 2 is an excellent game in short bursts, and I think the big irony here is that not much has actually fundamentally changed with the playability of it. Is the gameplay any different physically? Any more guns to play with? Any drastic changes to the core gunplay? Not really. There's just a few more maps, few more modes, a few more heroes, centered around a new progression system. But the system didn't change what was inside of it, just how it was applied. It might somehow prove that Battlefront 2 was actually a fairly good game all along, because what it really does is show how bad first impressions can take a ship down into the bottom of the ocean, because honestly, people do care about how a game is presented to them, not just what it offers. It's difficult to shake that bad first impression, and can often lead a game to landing on the island of dead on arrival. Typically, you only get one chance to make a mark because people demand instant satisfaction. But that doesn't mean there can never be a redemption story. And Battlefront 2 might just be one of those stories. It's a very playable, fun game, much improved 2.5 years later.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Great job.